Hello, hello. Welcome to the Q2 Brick Bridge Consulting webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'll give a couple more minutes for people to join. I encourage you to take a few moments to go ahead and book August 18th, same time, 12:15 p.m. Eastern, for our Q3 webinar. Topic to be announced, but we'll go ahead and save the date to be able to get this important information. Just a few moments longer while we have people join from all of our broadcast platforms. Thank you for attending our Q2 webinar here, 2022, already at the end of April. So years moving by quickly. Just a couple more moments for people to join. Again, thanks for everybody attending our free webinar today. As we do record this, I want to take a moment to just remind everybody we do have the Q&A open where those are available. Please submit your questions throughout the time. That's why we like to have a live audience. My name is Gil Roberts. I'm a partner and the Director of Operations here at Brick Bridge Consulting. Hold an MBA, CCSP, MicroApp certified. I'll be giving a quick intro to today's topic, as well as some other housekeeping items, and then we'll dive right into the content. We have an exciting lineup for you today. Our lead Citrix Solution Advisor, Alex Edelin, as well as Carlos Mena from Arrow, will be joining us later in the webinar, so stay tuned for that. First, let's take a look at our upcoming events. Again, please take a moment to save the date for August 18th, 12:15 p.m. Eastern, right there, right after the long summer break. Come back to us for some more exciting content. Title to be announced, and we'll cover that in future communications. Also coming up, not featured on the slide, but on May 18th, we have our International Podio Developer Meetup, also free to attend. Details can be found at our website, brickbridgeconsulting.com. If you're not familiar with the SaaS side of Citrix's portfolio, this is a wonderful way to get started. So that's on May 18th, 7 hours of content all day. Brickbridgeconsulting.com for more information. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to talk a little bit about Brick Bridge Consulting. I'll make this short and sweet, but we were born in 2016, located here in Louisville, Kentucky. We partner with a lot of different types of organizations, anywhere from real estate to finance companies and several others I'll highlight, as well as public sector. Lots of industry-leading software products that we've been able to develop with our partners over the years. We do have a Citrix practice, while we do work on other things, but our lead practice as a Citrix Solution Advisor. We do primarily work with the SaaS portfolio, a little more niche, but the DaaS portfolio and the new DaaS offerings that we'll be covering today make it much more interesting, especially to SaaS providers. We touch on a lot of Citrix Podio, ShareFile, Workspace. We also provide a lot of content to the developer community, these webinars, as well as our podcast, the Citrix Developer Solutions Podcast. You can find that on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, all those popular providers. Tune in. We have a couple seasons on there, many episodes covering a lot of the Citrix SaaS side of the portfolio. Again, if you're not familiar, maybe you work in classic IT, Citrix has a wonderful portfolio of SaaS offerings. Podcast is a great way to spark your curiosity. We provide quite a bit of services through Citrix, as well as our partnerships with AWS. On the Citrix side, as I covered, we do a lot of SaaS implementations, workflow development. A lot of our use cases come around. I'll give a short example. The real estate, particularly the real estate investor industry, we use Podio to solve a lot of problems with workflow, using Podio workflow automation, automated marketing, CRM, call center, those types of operations. We also do AWS development. We've been able to use C# to solve a lot of problems, both inside of the Citrix SaaS portfolio and coming soon to the DaaS portfolio, but also with other SaaS providers, so non-Citrix. We do custom C# development. I've had a lot of success with that over in the public sector, being able to scale either Citrix-based or other SaaS-based solutions successfully to provide more mission-based support. Lastly, we also provide Citrix licensing. Arrow ECS, Carlos Mena has joined us from today, is our distribution partner, so we can service all your Citrix licensing needs, Podio, Workspace, Rike, so the whole Citrix SaaS, as well as the DAD and CVAD products. And we also work with iGel's thin client hardware and firmware. So I'm going to hand this over to Alex Elin, who our lead Citrix Solutions Advisor here at BrickBridge Consulting. And we're going to cover what is Citrix DaaS. Is that a new buzzword? What's going on with CVAD services? What's happening to perpetual licensing? A lot of these questions that are up in the air based on current events. First off, most people have known, but if you don't know already, Citrix is possibly going private. I think the deal is likely to go through. Tibco is purchasing them, so that's going to mean a big change to current Citrix customers, as well as customers that are considering Citrix in the future. Spoiler alert, we believe it's the positive direction, the right direction for Citrix to go private. We'll discuss some of that during today's webinar, but without further ado, Mr. Alex Elin. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Gil. All right, let's get rolling here. Like Gil said, my name is Alex Elin. I am the lead solution advisor here at BrickBridge Consulting. Studied computer information systems, and before that, economics. I am a CCSP as well and MicroApp certified. So I deal with new projects at the company and project coordination, and then I deal with the licensing, virtualization, the SaaS offerings, platforms, and portfolios, and then how all of that works together into one software stack or uniform cloud-based system for your company, department, or group of employees. So let's get down to it. What is DaaS? Yes, it's a new buzzword, but not a new technology. So Citrix DaaS stands for Desktops as a Service. It's the move to subscription-based for your IT solutions. It was formerly known as Citrix Managed Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. And it is an effort to reinforce that service model and give you more turnkey solutions to your clients, or to Citrix's clients, to you as their clients. Citrix DaaS is a cloud-delivered and managed desktop infrastructure that has both price-based and consumption models for easy billing or scaling on demand in any situation. So let's dive into some numbers about DaaS and some surveys from executives and IT leaders. So this was done by Gartner for Citrix. It is 83% of the IT executives are in the belief that due to the increased remote work as a result of COVID, it has increased their cloud transition priorities. Less people on site means more cloud offerings, less need for on-premise. Also, 80% of IT leaders believe that their peers are themselves and their peers are wrestling between implementing long-term service release or cloud services. So it goes back to the which we'll get into later on. When is the right time? What is the right solution? And then 70% of IT leaders agree that DaaS cuts down on organizational costs, which supports the choice to implement. Again, we will dive into that much further on a couple different slides and use cases, but these are some of the numbers we wanted to focus on and highlight. Remote work is here to stay. There is also a compare and contrast that needs to be undertaken from long-term service release and cloud services, and the cost basis. So let's get into the Citrix DaaS offerings. So we're going to have three main offerings from Citrix. So we have the traditional IT managed VDI, which is your traditional on-prem offering, fully managed by an internal IT department or a third-party IT management firm. There's also hybrid DaaS, which is cloud managed, which uses the Citrix cloud managed plane with the option to deploy desktops and applications on-premise or in the cloud. And then the majority of what we'll be talking about today is simplified Citrix DaaS. So this is a fully cloud-hosted turnkey solution that Citrix is offering. So not necessarily need to have an IT department manage this. It's one billing, one offering, and out of the box, ready to roll. So we're going to dive into the top three simplified DaaS benefits. So in no particular order, there's project-based DaaS offerings, the ability to simplify the IT and the agility that it offers. So for project-based desktops as a service, there's many use cases. Those for contractors, seasonal workers, people who may just need a desktop or a system to plug into their existing device for a bring your own device policy, just for a short amount of time, busy season, small project, spin those up, shut them down when they're done. Additionally, mergers and acquisitions are another good use case. So two companies coming together, scattered IT resources and infrastructure. Again, we can spin up desktops on demand, partition them out to all the new acquires, and shut them down once everyone's under one roof, or merge them to one unified billing. And then we have developer and vendor access. So if you have vendors you're working with that need to be assigned into a project, you can offer them a desktop and then shut it down when that vendor is no longer working. And then secure remote workforce. This is one of the fastest growing project-based use case that we see, and that's the remote worker, hybrid worker, remote worker. You may be in the office 2 days a week, maybe fully remote, but having a secure remote workspace for them to work out of at the push of a button. And then there's also the education labs, whether it's higher education, high school, the computer labs you're in, being able to access specific workspaces and desktops for the major or the class or anywhere on campus or back in the dorms. And then we get into simplifying IT. So the main talking points here are we're going to reduce infrastructure management, less physical assets to manage. And then from there, we simplify deployment. Again, this is simplified DaaS is supposed to be a turnkey solution. So being able to deploy new workspaces, new desktops at the push of a button. That leads to the improved efficiency, and then being able to leverage multi-session Windows desktops with Azure Virtual Desktops. So all this leads to a simplified cloud expansion for dedicated VDI customers. So being able to simplify all these makes expanding your offerings that much easier and that much quicker. And then we get into the agility. So with the DaaS benefits, you have the ability to scale on demand. There is which allows business continuity. And then from a billing standpoint, you have monthly subscription options with no long-term commitments, or through managed Azure infrastructure, you can do consumption-based options. So more of a pay-as-you-go model. The more you use, the more you pay. The less you use, the less you pay. So these are both ideal for ongoing business operations as well as short-term budgeted projects. All right, so this is going to be one of our main talking points now that we've got a little background on what Citrix DaaS is and how it can be used at your business. So now we're going to get into how Citrix DaaS enables your business and you as an IT professional or line of business owner. So the three main points we're going to focus on is accelerating digital transformation via choice and flexibility. And then we're going to highlight the improved employee experience and the improved security offerings through Citrix DaaS. So first, with the accelerate digital transformation, going back to the numbers there at the beginning, you know, the 83%, the 80, 83%, 70, all those high numbers of IT leaders and executives believe that the industry is moving in this direction. So what are the benefits of going with Citrix DaaS to accelerate that transformation? So PBS, or the provisioning services Citrix offers for cloud, delivers maximum provisioning benefits. So with that, you get faster creation, rapidly provisioning and updating hundreds of apps and desktop images at once to simplify and accelerate administration. They also have rapid machine boot, which improves deployment and redeployment times at scale. You can boot thousands of hosts from a single image in only a matter of seconds. And with that, you're able to reduce the storage footprint. So you can save costs with reduced storage needs. Next up is the image portability. So this allows you to simplify the hybrid multi-cloud scenarios with image portability service, which enables administrators to manage a single Windows image with which is optimized for multiple resource locations for increased admin efficiency and migration workflows or hybrid deployments. And then VDA upgrade services. So VDA upgrade service automates VDA updates through cloud-based VDA update system for the existing base images without having to perform a manual upgrade or reinstallment of the VDA. This removes complexity by quickly updating VDAs from individual machines or for entire machine catalogs, all within Web Studio for unified manage. This is a Citrix cloud-only feature, so it's going to be Citrix DaaS only, and it's available for any product edition with a VDA. Next on, we have automated configuration. So Citrix automated configuration tools developed to help simplify the cloud move by automating cloud configuration and management during the migration process and continuously keep cloud deployments in sync. Some of the key benefits here: it greatly shortens the process of planning and writing custom automation for migrations from the to the cloud from on-prem. There are 2 simple commands to automate the movement of policies, applications, machine catalogs, and more. You can migrate all at once or in a series of stages. Backups are created in case you need to revert, and then continue to leverage for day-to-day management and sync of cloud operations. And then one of the best features of the cloud and Citrix DaaS is the auto scale features. So it's engineered to help optimize your cloud deployment with the ability to power manage your virtual machines. With this, you can take advantage of load balancing scaling or schedule-based scaling. So with power management, you can load balance or schedule-based, which increases capacity, reduces cost, and you can see this all visually through the Citrix pane management. Auto scaling also has a cloud burst feature, so you can power manage only cloud workloads using tags. And then it has dynamic provisioning as well. So you can create and delete machines based on admin controls. You can pair this with vertical load balancing to fill up machines before powering on new ones as well. So these are the main highlights of the digital transformation, so migrating and starting anew. There are many more features, but these are the 5 main talking points that we like to present. Next up, we have the employee experience. So with Citrix has spent a lot of time on high performance virtual machines. I know when the pandemic started, I was working at a very large multinational company, and many of the employees who didn't have laptops, who worked at a desktop in-house, were sent home and given a virtual machine. Now, some of these virtual machines, we've learned a lot about them in the last couple of years. But back then they were not made for high performance, multi collaborative tools. We were running, we couldn't run Teams on the virtual machine and still be able to produce. We couldn't share screen on the Teams and access our data files at the same times without the machine crashing. This was a competitor's product. I don't want to throw shade their way, but Citrix has taken the employee experience to the next level and offers extreme high demand systems where needed. So some of these key features of the employee experience are the HDX technology, adaptive audio, uniform communication flexibility, and session screen sharing, to highlight a few. So with the HDX technology, Citrix has continuously expanded the high definition and native user experience. Citrix introduced significant innovations to improve 3D Pro workload performance, that improved frame rates by 2x compared to the previous release versions. Additionally, they have decreased the bandwidth consumption to help reduce costs and better handle constrained networks, people working remotely, working from home, or working on the road. Pair this with the adaptive audio, which a couple of years ago might not have been audio, might have been a secondary feature, but now with the amount of collaborative meetings and webinars, things like this, audio has been pushed back to the forefront. So with adaptive audio, it optimizes audio settings for the environment and replaces obsolete audio compression formats to provide excellent user experience. You will experience high quality audio playback and real-time audio delivery. This dynamically adjusts audio sampling bit rate as network conditions change with no complex audio configurations. Again, the audio used to be a thing of the past as far as concerns with virtual machines, but given the changing landscape of the last 2 years, having no time delay on your audio for your virtual machine has become a major importance, and that's what Citrix has pushed to get to. The next point, getting into that changing landscape, is the unified communication flexibility. This goes back to the story I was telling earlier about not being able to use Teams to collaborate and present on the virtual machine, only a couple years ago when it was first presented to us as a workforce. So with Citrix's unified communication flexibility, it ensures optimal experience for your expanding remote workforce. With virtual applications, desktops, and remote or hybrid work flexibility, your team and workforce needs to collaborate in real time across the city, country, or even the world. Thankfully, there are dozens of tools and applications that make this easier, but is your VDI set up to handle the workload? When the pandemic, so with this, leverage Citrix DaaS to deliver optimized experience for various communication platforms, including Microsoft Teams, Skype, Zoom, Cisco Jabber, Softphone, just to name a few. Citrix HDX technology delivers the best interactive experience and multimedia performance on any device or connection. Secure sensitive data like chat logs, file transfers, and SIP signaling within data centers are opposed to distributed across endpoints. Citrix DaaS is specifically optimized for Microsoft Teams. So HDX optimization for Teams is web-based and application-based. So you can use either version, and it is specifically optimized to give you the best virtual experience when using Microsoft Teams. And then outside of that unified communication flexibility, Citrix DaaS offers session screen sharing. So you don't have to log into one of these platforms to be able to share screens and collaborate. This is highly beneficial for heavy workload applications, maybe a CAD, computer-aided design modeling, or like our team uses an IDE for development environment that is pulling a heavy workload and is not great on any machine running a collaboration tool. So with session screen sharing, it allows screen sharing capabilities without having to launch one of the applications. With the new screen session sharing capabilities, leverages existing HDX technology to allow users to securely share code with whomever they would like to see on a screen inside of their network or inside the policy-controlled company. This is available in both Windows and Linux VDAs, so long as they are 2019 or newer. So we've gone through the transition, the employee experience, and now we're going to talk a little bit about the security, which when moving to a cloud offering, a remote workforce, security is of the utmost importance. So we're going to highlight a few of these. We're going to highlight 4, and then I'll touch on maybe about a half dozen other features just very briefly. So one of the main concerns with moving to a fully cloud service-oriented offering is compliance with industry certifications. You can see to my right here, there's many. These are a few that Citrix DaaS is already compliant with. They are SOC 2, ISO, HIPAA, FedRAMP ready, and IRAP. So these allow you to offload your data and hosting to the cloud while still maintaining any and all of these certifications for your industry. With that comes the next feature is policy controls, which add a layer of security to IT sanctioned applications and protect data by applying security policies with granular controls to prevent data exfiltration, like copy and pasting, printing, downloads, and watermarks. Adaptive access and security controls enforce contextual security to applications. And leveraging built-in Citrix templates in Studio, it optimizes for specific environments and network conditions. In addition to the policy controls, we have adaptive authentication, which verifies the user's identity and authorization levels based on factors such as location, device status, or end user behavior. It also has integrations with Radius and all authentication mechanisms. It's replacing Citrix Gateway and delivering in-factor framework natively to the cloud, delivers zero trust and improves security posture. Additionally, we have app protection, which secures personal devices and reduces risk on all devices, including the ones that may unknowingly have screen capture or key logging malware. This is a big one if you have a bring your own device policy. So it can keep your data secure when employees are using personal devices or business continuity program, and it can extend the PCI compliance to the end user device. So these are some of the big 4. In addition to these, there's a whole host of other security features with Citrix DaaS. And some of the highlights are session recording. So if there is suspect end user activity, the session can be recorded based on parameters set by the administrator and see what they're accessing. There's also secure browser, federated authentication services from all of the larger authentication services like Okta, and simple 2-factor authentication as well. It's also integrated with identity providers, FIDO2 and biometric support. And then as well, it has delegated administration, confirmation logging, and session watermarking. Again, this is a short list of all the different security features. If any of these, we could probably do our own webinar, standalone webinar on all the different security features, but we leave that to those in the industry specific, because it'd be a good nap time in the afternoon if you had to hear me talk about it. All right, so the last talking point when it comes to the features of Citrix DaaS is understanding hybrid rights. So hybrid rights are term-based on-premise subscription licenses. These licenses are provided in addition to the cloud service subscription when an on-premise customer transitions or trades up from an on-premise license to a cloud service subscription. Citrix rescinds your on-premise perpetual license and replaces them with term-based on-premise license corresponding to the product, edition, and license model of the cloud service and the duration defined under the applicable cloud or hybrid rights SKUs. Hybrid rights subscriptions provide access to both your on-premise and cloud resources at the same time. Only those users or devices covered by your Citrix Cloud subscription may use the hybrid rights on-premise term license to connect to the Citrix Cloud services. For example, if you have a Virtual Apps and Desktops Advanced CCU on-premise license and you trade up to a Citrix DaaS Premium, you get on-premise hybrid rights entitlements for your users and devices, along with the subscription licenses. Hybrid rights are used to operate your on-premise deployment for the term of your subscription, or shorter duration is defined by the relevant SKUs. You can rescind, the rescinded licenses must be deleted from a license server. With hybrid rights, you can transition to cloud gradually while running your on-premise deployments in parallel without losing out on your on-premise infrastructure. Unless otherwise defined by the relevant SKUs, hybrid rights are co-termed with Citrix Cloud subscription purchased and corresponding transition and trade-up transactions. Citrix Cloud Services deployments operate on cloud-based infrastructure. If you use on-premise deployments beyond the initial term of the transition and trade-up subscriptions, additional hybrid rights add-on licenses must be purchased to continue using those on-premise deployments. So let's talk about the transition and trade-up. So the three main parts of the TTU are the transition, the trade-up, or a combination of both. So the transition is when you move your current on-premise license to the cloud version of the same product or edition. For example, you move from CVAD Advanced on-premise to Citrix DaaS Advanced Plus. Trade-up is when you exchange your current on-premise license or cloud subscriptions to a new product or a higher level product edition. And then transition and trade-up is the combination of both, where you move your current on-premise license to the cloud and exchange these licenses for higher level product editions. Hybrid right add-ons. So you can purchase the available hybrid right add-ons to expand your deployments and add new users or extend your hybrid right subscription terms if your migration to the cloud is not completed. Hybrid rights add-ons are not required for the new users deployed on the Citrix Cloud. However, hybrid rights add-ons are required for the new users if the customer wants to initially deploy the new users on-premise before moving them to the Citrix Cloud. Well, that about wraps up the main highlights of the new Citrix DaaS offering. Next up, we're going to, sorry, one more slide. When is the transition service model right for you? So this is a question we get pretty, it's part of the plan, and, the two things are some of the bigger things are the budget. And then the next biggest is the timing. So when it comes to transitioning from your current system or trading up to something new, there are many considerations to take into account. There can be seasonal timing considerations. Do we have a busy season that the slightest disruption could cause panic amongst employees or management? Do we have long-term servicing contracts to consider as part of the TTU? And when we're moving from capital expenditure to operating expense, when will that ROI? So all of these questions will have unique answers based on your company and department, and that's what we're here to help you with. But as you can see, the shift to the cloud, there's some numbers here on the cost savings and operational expenditures savings, and generally we can recoup about 70% of that savings over the first 3 years. All right, now that that last slide's out of the way, now we'll turn it over to Carlos for a little Q&A session. Carlos is a cloud solutions engineer from Arrow ECS, our distribution partner. We'll be answering as many questions as we can throw at him in the last 10 minutes or so here. Carlos, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys. If you feel it might be of value, I have a couple slides that may show some of the insight into it, or we can just start taking questions. It's up to you.
We got a couple questions here. Let's
Okay.
we can run through those real quick, and if time allows, we'll or if the slides are applicable, feel free to jump in, and we'll let you screen share.
Perfect. All right, what's the question?
All right, so we've got a few questions here from the crowd and from pre-webinar registration.
Yeah,
so
I see that.
Okay,
all right,
great.
Perfect.
So
let me jump in
the
on
first one. Yeah, the first one is just compare and contrast, the Citrix DaaS offering with the old models.
Yeah, so when we look at what Citrix DaaS is trying to do, the question is, why create this? Why create this category that's separate from a strategy that they had originally sort of set out? What it's doing is that it's taking and combining both Citrix Virtual Apps, Citrix Desktops, and the combination Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, and creating a strategy where it recognizes that in the cloud, there are these providers, Amazon, Google, Azure, and there's functionality that can be leveraged from those systems and from those services. So the whole idea of DaaS is to take those desktop creation concepts and leverage the functionality that's within there. So for example, if I am creating an Azure desktop and I'm using Citrix, Citrix can go in, it'll communicate with Azure, and it'll understand that there are templates that are set up there that may describe the size of a computer. So for example, maybe 2 CPU, 8 gig of RAM, whatever storage size. I can select that, and then I can select the region, right? So Citrix doesn't care about regions, but that's a key thing to Azure, because in your service, you choose which region you want to operate in. And let's say you have people in the Americas, East and West, and then maybe Australia. Now you can select those different categories because those are components that we're leveraging from the Azure side. And then I can now create those services and make them available to my users. So creating the separate category that integrates the original strategies of desktops and application sharing and presentation, and focusing on the fact that there's this functionality that we can leverage and makes us better, is a great thing. And that's what I like about the fact that Citrix has actually created this DaaS offering.
Perfect, thank you for that. All right, question number 2, another compare and contrast. So
okay.
I talked about some of my experiences with some of the other services in the past. So give us a little compare and contrast with Citrix DaaS to AWS Workspaces in this case.
Yeah. So when you look at the two offerings, I mean, AWS has a very comprehensive offering, and it's very well regarded, and I can't say anything horribly bad about it. But the one thing that I like about Citrix that differentiates itself is that the Citrix DaaS offering goes beyond just an AWS view. So when I look at where are my resources, they may not always be in AWS. I may have a combination. I may have using this, what we define as hybrid multi-cloud. I may have resources that are in Google. I may have resources that are in Azure. I may have resources that are in AWS, and I may have local resources and private resources that I may use. So Citrix DaaS still recognizes that and leverages the fact that those different areas, those different things, even down to physical machines. Say I'm going to just use as an example, because I just ran into this recently. Say you're a trucking company, and you have this PC at work that is used to release the trucks for delivery, and it's not in the cloud, it's nowhere else. Somebody has to be at that PC to run it. Well, Citrix can still offer that as part of its service. So when you look at how Citrix DaaS is all-encompassing, including, as I mentioned before, including the old strategies and leveraging the functionality in these new hybrid clouds, I think it's a much wider solution, and that's probably what I like about it the most. So
all right, great. So this last question, I figured you and I could tackle this one together. I'll talk about the SaaS, and if you want to start with the how the DaaS pairs up with the current software stack. So, I'll start with the benefits of the SaaS, and then you can piggyback on how the DaaS pairs with that. Does that sound all right, Carlos?
Sure.
Yeah. So, the SaaS is not anything new. It's the software as a service has been around for a while. A lot of things are switching to that subscription-based model from, your software stack to your groceries if you want it. So I think it was a natural progression to one of the benefits of SaaS is you can break down that large upfront expenditure for perpetual licensing into a more flexible annualized or monthly billing cycle. So you're going to know exactly what you're going to get from a finance standpoint, month over month, year over year, and you can budget accordingly. So from our point of view, or from my point of view, from my seat, that is one of the financial pairings that makes DaaS extremely appealing. Additionally, from the operations side, it offers the flexibility to SaaS has always offered the flexibility to ebb and flow with your business needs. So you can add more seats, you can add new users, you can add a whole new department quickly and easily by just a few click of the buttons, calling your sales rep and saying, I need 24 more seats for this new department. So the flexibility that SaaS has always offered seems to pair nicely with the DaaS offering. Carlos, anything else I'm missing here? Anything else you want to add on with?
I think you're spot on. So definitely, I mean, the DaaS thing is in alignment with an overall industry trend, right? And it's doing exactly what you described. So I love the way you position that. It's leveraging functionality, and it treats everything pretty agnostically. It doesn't really separate between the different categories. So whatever software you might have, as long as it's running on Windows or Linux, it can be made available as part of the service. So in my mind, this whole DaaS thing, leveraging your current SaaS applications, your current physical devices, your current cloud providers, is just a great thing that's happening, and I'm excited that Citrix is going down that way.
All right. That is about wrapped up for the Q&A. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today, this afternoon, morning, evening, depending on where you are. If you're watching this on playback, thank you for tuning in with us. Do want to keep that bookmark in mind. Save the date for our next webinar, August 18th, 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. We'll update you on the topic of conversation. We're going through some of the Citrix products this year thus far. So we've done some Workspace. We've done Podio in the past. We're doing DaaS right now. So if you missed any of those other webinars, you can find them on our YouTube page. So check us out on all the socials listed down there. And if you have any needs or wants for any of the Citrix desktops as a service, software as a service, please feel free to book an appointment or a call at our website, brickbridgeconsulting.com. You can always email service@brickbridgeconsulting to get straight through and get something set up. Tell us about your use case. Tell us about your problem. How you would see us fitting in to help with anything and everything SaaS and DaaS related. Again, thank you, Carlos, so much for joining us. Thank you, Gil, for kicking us off.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.